What's up YouTube? Welcome to MTB TV. My name is Mitchell Hallmark and today I'm going to be doing an unboxing of my wife's brand new bike. Before I get started, there was a couple of things I wanted to go over. First off was why I chose this specific bike. My wife is very new to mountain biking, but she knew it was a sport she wanted to get into because she's always loved riding her bike and she wanted to find a way to get more in nature on her bike. So we both figured that a mountain bike would be a perfect way for her to do that. Now I looked all over and originally I wanted this to be a trail bike, so I didn't want there to be too much travel, mostly because here in Central Texas we don't have really long descents and we don't have huge drops that warrant something with more than 140 or 150 millimeters of travel. And I wanted to also be able to climb pretty well too because we have varying terrain. Along with that, I wanted the bike to have a pretty good build on it. What I mean by that is basically I wanted the components to be nice, well made. I didn't want it to be some cheap off-brand components. So I looked around. I looked at the big name brands, Specialized, Trek, Giant, Cannondale, women's specific brands. I know Giant's is Liv. Santa Cruz has a women's specific brand called Juliana. And I looked at all of those and there's usually a couple of caveats. It would either be, it was in the price range, but there was a couple of things that were compromises in my opinion. For example, I looked at the Trek Fuel EX. They have one that starts at $2,099. And I liked it, she liked it, but my only concern was that it came with a 10-speed drivetrain and I figured she could really use the benefits of a 12-speed. So I waited on that one. I also looked at Liv. Liv had some great options. The only problem was we don't have a Liv dealer anywhere close to us, so it was going to be pretty difficult to get my hands on a Liv. So after searching and searching, I was actually very close to buying the Trek I mentioned earlier until I heard about this company called Vitus. They are a direct-to-consumer brand that sells through Wiggle and Chain Reaction Cycles. And I'd heard of Vitus, but I didn't know much about them until I heard Rob Warner actually signed on as one of their sponsored riders. Now, if you don't know Rob Warner, he was huge in the 90s for downhill, and now he is the voice of Red Bull mountain biking. If you've ever watched UCI or pretty much any Red Bull-based mountain biking event, Rob Warner is probably the one doing the commentating. So his backing behind the company was pretty convincing for me that it was a reputable brand at least. So I did some research and I found that purchasing it here in the US was actually not that difficult. As I said before, Chain Reaction Cycles was offering free shipping even overseas to the US, and they actually had a couple of clearance prices. The other reason I chose this brand was because the build was incredible. It comes with a 12-speed drivetrain. In the front, you get a Marzocchi Z2. Also, too, it came with a dropper, which that's very difficult to find sometimes in budget level bikes. So, now that I've covered all of that, let's get into the unboxing. So here it is, y'all, the Vitus Mythique 27.5 VRX. Initially, I'm really happy with this thing. The frame is really nice, the welds are great, there's no chipped paint, so it was very carefully taken care of over shipping. I think the guys at Chain Reaction Cycles set this up really well. There was a couple of things I had to do myself. To name a couple, the first was making sure all of the bolts here in the stem were torqued properly, and that's understandable because these things don't come with the handlebars put on them. So I had to put the handlebars on and then make sure that each of these bolts were torqued to their proper setting. That's something to note when you get these direct-to-consumer bikes is in order for them to fit in the packaging, they have to take off the wheels and the bar in order for it all to fit. So there's some things you have to kind of adjust yourself. Another thing I adjusted myself was actually the cable for the dropper post here. It felt a little loose and I just wanted that engagement to be a little quicker. So I went ahead and made that adjustment myself. Some of the other components are Nuke Proof branded. If you're here on YouTube, you've probably watched GMBM before. I know that Nuke Proof is one of their sponsors and they ride their bikes pretty hard. So you've got a Nuke Proof bar, Nuke Proof stem, Nuke Proof saddle. I love the way the front fork looks. This red just pops with the accent red on top of the frame here. And I went ahead and gave my wife one of my red bottles so that it matches. I decided on the 27.5 wheels because my wife is shorter and I think she'd really be more comfortable on 27.5s. I've heard shorter riders tend to feel that 29-inch wheels seem a little big and it almost feels like they're on top of the bike instead of in the bike when they're riding. Also too, it'll make it just a little bit more nimble, which I think will be really advantageous for her and for any new rider. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe to my channel.